Chapter 11, Vision of the Cosmic Form of God. Arjuna's eagerness to behold the cosmic form of God. Brothers, last week we learned how to recognize divine presence in the countless things in this universe and how to let that comprehension sink deep into us. We saw that one should discern divinity step by step. First, in the simple and the gross, and then in the complex and the subtle manifestations of the Lord. One should thus see God everywhere, realize Him, and through constant practice, learn to see the whole creation as the self. Now we turn to the 11th chapter. In this chapter, the Lord has showered His highest grace on Arjuna by showing him his divine cosmic form. Arjuna had expressed a desire to see the Lord in his fullness, in the form in which all his splendor and glory are fully manifest. What Arjuna sought was to behold the cosmic form of the Lord. Our world is only a small part of the universe, and we do not have an adequate understanding of even this small part. In relation to the universe, this world, which appears so vast to us, is quite insignificant. If we look up at the night sky, we see it dotted with innumerable points of light. Do you know the real nature of those festoons of light hung up in the sky? Those lovely little flowers, those millions of twinkling stars? They are actually many times bigger and brighter than the sun. And they are countless. Even the naked eye can see thousands of them. A telescope would reveal them in millions. With an advanced telescope, trillions could be visible. There seems to be no end to them. Our earth is but a tiny fragment of this boundless creation. Still, we find it so vast. This vast creation is but one aspect of the Lord. Another aspect is that of time. If we consider the past, our knowledge of history goes back at most to 10,000 years. Of the future, we know nothing. The span of known history is 10,000 years, and our own lifespan is of hardly 100 years. Time is, in fact, without beginning and without end. It is impossible to count the time that has passed into the past. It is equally impossible to have an idea of the time that is yet to come. Just as our world is insignificant compared to the universe, the 10,000 years of known history are insignificant compared to the infinite time. The past is without a beginning, and the future is without an end. As for the infinitesimal present, it is slipping into the past every moment. Even as we try to point out its presence, it has already passed into the past. This fleeting present is all that is with us. I am speaking now, but the moment I utter the word, it becomes a part of the past. The stream of time is flowing continuously. We know neither its beginning nor its end. What comes to our view is just a tiny portion of that stream in the middle. Wow. अच्छा background
I just
बनाया.
wanted to say one thing here. See, when we are talking about Satya reporting what we see at that moment exactly, by the time we are saying, na, the Satya is becoming a Satya.
Yes,
Because it has.
absolutely. वही क्षणिकवाद का वही तो खासियत.
हाँ, हाँ. When
Thus,
we talk of the future. As though it's going,
Still we
as though
keep
we are sure
indulging.
that is going to happen.
Yes. Still we keep indulging. वो अवेयरनेस रखेंगे तो शायद हम उसकी इंटेंसिटी कम कर सकें.
हाँ, वो हो सकता है, लेकिन it's so difficult to be 100% constantly in the present.
It is possible. See, मेरे को एक चीज बहुत क्लियर है कि if something is stated in a shastra like Yog Shastra, Yog Sutras, which is nothing but just that exactly what is. Because योग सूत्र में कहीं भी ये नहीं कहा है ये करो, खाली है. Everything is said in that manner. So वो एक आगम की तरह उसको यूज करना है. यदि उसमें कहा है कि ये है, it is like this, it is. We need to understand that somewhere, and Maharshi Patanjali was a human being who have compiled it all. So human capacity is capable of perceiving that. We in our own self, I myself have not opened up myself to, or worked on myself, cleared up myself to realize that capacity. That capacity has to be there inherent. But we have to actualize it. Self actualization की तो बात है. तो actualization कब होगा? जब each of these veils that we have created, we can see through. We can remove them. And there are levels of existence that we have. हम वैसे भी पंचकोश की जैसे बात करते हैं. We don't even reach the energy level at all. We understand the world only at the bhautik level, Panchamahabhut ka level, and not as the Bhuta Bhuta, but as the combination of the Bhutas. Bhautik Jagat jo kaha hai. So we limit ourselves to that. इसलिए सत्कार्यवाद का थियोरी फॉलो करता है सांख्य कि what is manifested has a cause, and that cause probably also is an effect of some other cause. So till we can get back to that cause of the cause of the cause, we do not have the complete understanding. Means we are not yet able to visualize that also. So when such things are brought in front, at least it has helped me that way. I do not doubt it. I don't negate it. I try to see that, because हमारे योग सूत्र में भी हम जब perception की बात करते हैं, sensory perception also, the way we understand with sense organs, is not what is sensory perception talked of in Yoga Sutra also. There also, it is the perception, and Sankhya also talks really of perception with 13, not just 5.
Yeah.
And that also, Indriyas and the Antakarana.
Yeah.
So, Indriyas का जो sensibility है, मनुष्य के होके जो limitations हैं, उसके beyond जाती है, which we don't. और अंतर्मुखी होके तो हम उस लॉजिक को ही नहीं समझते हैं, उसका जो कॉज इफेक्ट है वो भी हम नहीं देख पाते हैं. तो आई एट्रीब्यूट इट टू माय इग्नोरेंस, बट I rather than get stuck with that ignorance, I try to see that there must be some way. So that opens up my mind. So if it comes, कहीं पर किसी के मुंह से ऐसा निकलता है जो शब्द मेरे को समझा सकता है, so if I open up my mind, I find that okay, यहाँ कुछ है जो मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा है. So at least like a question, it remains with me. Maybe in due course of time, with Manan Chintan, something will open up. So I don't know if that helps anybody. I would be happy to share this.
अब यही स्टेटमेंट मैंने जो किया, अगर डॉक्टर साहब के सामने करती, तो his only comment would have been what, with effort you can reach there.
Yeah,
So basically, my trying to say that was, it's a long journey that we have to constantly move towards that.
Very true. With effort you can. Very true.
Because that is how he was. He was always in the present.
हाँ, लेकिन हम एफर्ट तब करेंगे ना जब हमको ऐसा दिखेगा कि हम वहां जा सकते हैं. जब मालूम है कि सामने यदि दीवार है, मैं उधर जा ही नहीं सकती, आई विल नॉट मेक एन एफर्ट.
नहीं, वो नहीं बात. You didn't understand my statement. I said it
I
is
got your point.
very difficult. I'm not saying it is not possible.
No.
That is, you didn't get the gist of what I was trying to say.
नहीं, मैं और क्या बोल रही हूँ, डिफिकल्ट ऑफ कोर्स दिखता है, बट आई डू नॉट स्टॉप.
एफर्ट की बात ही हो जाएगा ना.
Rather than say it is difficult, that okay, I need to be open to this. I open up to receive this. There's a difference in energy.
Okay.
Okay, the fourth para. Thus, when we look at the creation, we find a vast expanse of space on one hand, and on the other, there is flow of time that has neither beginning nor end. It then becomes clear that howsoever much we stretch our imagination, we can never see the limits of it. In Arjuna's mind arises a desire to have a vision of the Lord in his omnipresent and all-pervading form, the form that fills all the three-dimensional space and all the three-dimensional time. He wants to see him all at once, at the same moment. This chapter has its genesis in that desire. Arjun was very dear to the Lord. So dear that in the 10th chapter, while mentioning different manifestations in which he is to be contemplated, the Lord has said, among the Pandavas, contemplate me in the form of Arjuna. Can love ever be more crazy? This is the height of madness in love. The Lord's love for Arjuna knew no bounds. The 11th chapter is the blessed gift of that love. The Lord endowed Arjuna with the divine vision and fulfilled his desire to see his cosmic form. 56. Full vision even in a small image. This chapter contains the beautiful and magnificent description of that supreme divine form. However, I am not particularly enamored of it. I am quite happy with the small and lovable form which I see. I have learned to appreciate the beauty therein. The Lord is not made up of a number of parts. It does not appear to me that what I see is only a part and the rest of him is somewhere else. The Lord who pervades this vast universe is present in his fullness, in a small image, and even in a speck of dust. He is not a bit less there. An ocean of nectar and a drop therein have the same sweetness. I am inclined to enjoy the sweetness in the little drop of nectar that I have got. I have purposely chosen the example of nectar and not that of milk or water. The sweetness that is in a cup of milk is certainly there in a jar of milk, but the nourishment they provide is not the same. But such is not the case with nectar. Even a drop of nectar will make you immortal. In the same way, the divinity and sanctity that are present in the Lord Supreme form are there even in the small image. If I cannot judge the quality of wheat from the sample of a handful of grains, how can I judge its quality from a sackful of it? If I fail to recognize him in his small form that is before my eyes, how can I recognize him in his cosmic form? Hence, I am not eager to have the vision of his cosmic form, nor am I worthy, like Arjuna, to ask for it. Moreover, what I see is not a part of the cosmic form. We would not have an idea about the whole of a photograph from its fragment. But the Lord is not made up of parts. He has not been cut up and divided into fragments. He is fully there, even in a small form. What is the difference between a small photograph and its enlarged copy? Big difference. Pixelated. Everything that is there in the big photograph is there in the small photograph too. The latter is not a fragment of the big photograph. A word may be printed in big type or small type. This makes no difference as far as its meaning is concerned. Image worship has its basis in this way of thinking. Wow. How beautifully is built up the background now.
Especially this sentence hits. A word may be printed in big type or small type. This makes no difference as far as its meaning is concerned.
Meaning is concerned. Very true. As far as the meaning is concerned. I have often done this exercise with Panchamahabhutas to, we say everything in this world is made up of all the five bhutas. So if you have to recognize the five bhutas in, say, this paper in hand, this book in hand, how would you be able to see? Can you see? You see it as only made up of earth. That comes very easily, that connection. But the Bhautik Jagat is evolved out of all the five bhutas. So, how to get yourself to recognize it? And that is where I get to explain that Karika with that the Panchamahabhuta as the final evolutes, the evolute of Prakriti, are from that evolution, it is the grossest, but really speaking, they are still very subtle. Our ability, our sense organs cannot perceive those Panchamahabhuta, each of them separately as the bhutas, as evolutes of Prakriti. We can only see them when they are in that combined form. So, the bhutas, therefore, is not earth, water, air, fire, ether. It is earthness, waterness, and so forth. And when I said I am coining this word, I haven't read it anywhere, but that's what is indicated. But when I say that, I myself, get that sense of there is something that is common. So everything that we call it as earth, this is made up of earth, this is made up of earth, all the solid things we will say is mainly earth. Can we see that commonality, that earthness in it? Then we are seeing the bhuta. तो वही मेरे को वो जो उन्होंने हनी और स्वीटनेस की बात कही, तो वही एक मेरे को ध्यान आ रही थी कि कैन वी सी दैट कॉमननेस इन इट, कि स्वीटनेस इज कॉमन वेदर यू टेक दिस मच और दैट मच. वैसे ही कुछ भी that which appears to be largely earth element, can we see that earthness in it? Can we see the commonality in it? वैसे ही liquids की जब बात करें, can we see that commonality in it, that fluidity in it? तो ऐसे ही करके, and then क्योंकि तन्मात्रा से भूतस get evolved, this time when we did that homework, what was suggested, and that's what they did, was कि अच्छा वैसे तो तन्मात्रा is even more subtler than the bhutas is. लेकिन okay, we have our sense organs. Let's look at it in the bhautik world. Our sense organs can perceive each of the tanmatras, right? Eyes are for seeing, so there's light, tanmatra. Then the sense of touch is there, and smell is there, and all that. So we have an organ associated with each of the tanmatras. So to recognize the earth, can we use gandha to recognize the earth?
In fact, I was just going to say that.
समझ में नहीं आता.
I was about to say that you gave the example of a paper. If the gross part of it is the earth element,
Yeah.
gandha se. And you know why it struck me was when my cousin was small, daddy used to give us at the end of the month pocket money. And it was all brand new notes, always. The moment he would get it in his hand, he would smell it. It was such a pure thing of
हर चीज को सुनती थी. बंटी की बेटी छोटी थी तो
but then in that paper, how do you recognize water element?
Absolutely. तो यानी
I'm giving you an answer to it.
Sorry.
In that paper, how to recognize the water element? Because earth by itself is very loose.
Yes.
It's water that binds.
Correct.
So that which gives it that form finally is because the water element is binding it.
That is the way we used to do that homework there. तो उसमें यानी वो जब रोज कम से कम मैंने कहा एक ऑब्जेक्ट लेके उसके अंदर पंच तत्व देखो. It used to make the mind able to see certain things beyond what is immediately grossly perceived. तो perception ability थोड़ी fine होने लगती है when you do that kind of exercise. तो ये तो समझ में आ गया क्योंकि अर्थ है तो उसमें से गंध ले सकते हैं. But then there is that karika when it says that तन्मात्रा में से भूतस इवॉल्व होते हैं. तो I made them actually say it for all. तो गंध में से अर्थ इवॉल्व होता है, वो पल्ले ही नहीं पड़ रहा है. अर्थ में गंध है वो समझ में आता है, लेकिन गंध से अर्थ कैसे इवॉल्व हो सकता है? You know, okay, so ask it as a question and be open. Someday when our mind will become so clear that we will be able to see that logic. It is at an understanding at a different level.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when we are able to see the gross structure of something, we are not able to see the molecules and atoms and the electrons in it.
बिल्कुल. लेकिन उसको नजर यदि हम रेगुलरली प्रैक्टिस करें तो थोड़ा आएगा.
It's only when we really accept that knowledge that yes, it is made up of electrons and atoms and all those things, then we know, okay, electrons and atoms and molecules make up this stuff. Same way, you will understand that the tanmatras go to form the bhutas and the bhutas go to form what we are seeing in the material world. वो कहीं पर तो वो जो डॉक्टर साहब की कहते थे ना, there are some things you have to accept as a premise, otherwise you can't go ahead. And he used to always give
वही है ना.
he used to always give the example about fairy tale.
बिल्कुल.
Unless you accept that once upon a time there was a king, the story won't go ahead.
इसके बिना तो नहीं होगा. But having to do that exercise, I'm telling you how much it has helped to, you know, break some of the hardness, you know, soften some kind of solidity or rigidity. It loosens out. और मजा आता है. तो I can imagine इसके अंदर जिस प्रकार की दृष्टि चाहिए, the way Vinoba ji has built up, I'm able to appreciate the whole process. You can read further.
Okay, point 7. Many people have assailed image worship. Many thinkers from India and abroad have found fault with it. But the more I think of it, the more I realize its beauty. What does it signify? It's the art of learning to experience the whole universe in a small object. Is it not right to learn to see the whole universe in a small village? It's not mere fancy, it's a matter of experience. That which inheres in the cosmic form is then in a small village image as well. The world is in a grain of sand. In a small theatre troupe, the same set of actors play a variety of roles. The Lord does likewise. Like a playwright who acts in a play written by him, the Lord writes innumerable plays and enacts innumerable roles in them. Recognizing him in one role is as good as recognizing him fully. Point 8.
Hmm.
The basis of image worship is the same as that of similes and metaphors in poetry. A circle or a sphere is nice to see, as there is order and symmetry in it. And these are divine attributes. The Lord's creation is beautiful in all respects. There's order and harmony in it. A sphere symbolizes the shapeliness of the Lord. A twisted and disorderly tree in a forest is also his manifestation. Therein you find the Lord's freedom. That tree knows no constraints, and it is true of the Lord as well. The unconstrained and self willed Lord is there in that unshapely tree. A straight column shows his straightness. In a pillar with decorative engraving, we see the Lord who decorates the sky with stars. We see his restraint in a well laid out garden, and in a primeval forest, we see his freedom and grandeur. We experience joy in a forest as well as in a well maintained garden. Is it strange? No. It happens because divine attributes are visible in both of them. An image may be smooth or misshapen. Nevertheless, the divinity therein is the same. I would not, therefore, mind if I could not get to see the cosmic form of the Lord apart from his presence in the creation. 9. It is because the Lord is present in different objects as different attributes that we find joy in them and feel a kind of relationship with them. So nicely put.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Otherwise, why would we feel that kinship?
Hmm. Beautiful.
The joy is not without a cause. It is there because we are somehow related to them. A child is a source of joy to his mother as she knows the kinship. So relate every object to the Lord. Realize that the Lord within you is there in that object too. As this realization grows, your joy too will increase. There's no other source of real joy. Start establishing relationships of love and see the wonderful results. You will then see in every speck of dust the Lord who is immanent in the whole creation. Once one gains this realization, what more would one ask for? But for this purpose, the sense organs must be disciplined and trained.
Hmm.
When the lust for sensual pleasures gives way to the pure spirit of love, you will find him and him only in each and every object. There's a beautiful, before I go on, I want to just share this
Hmm.
with you. Uh, my chacha was saying that he had visited a ex-colleague of his
Hmm.
who was staying somewhere near the Bandipur forest. He had built
Okay.
his house there,
Okay.
and he had built his house to blend with the environment. Wooden house, everything. Very simple, one big house with no separate rooms and all that. saying when he went in his house, he found all kinds of creepy crawlies inside and cobwebs hanging and all that, And that thought passed through my uncle's mind. How can he live in such an environment? You
Hmm.
know? And that gentleman just looked at my uncle and said, "You're wondering about all this, is how am I able to live here, isn't it?"
Hmm.
Saying, I have encroached their territory. No, they are so they have a right to be here.
That's typical
That's
of
why I
all
don't remove them.
environmentalists. Very
That's why I
true.
don't remove them, he said.
Very true. Very
So,
true.
so that is a way of, being able to see the divine in every creature
Hmm.
and
Very
letting
true.
the understanding that they have as much a right to live as we have.
In fact, because they came before us, they have more right.
Yeah. If I used to complain any time ना कि मेरे घर में बहुत चींटियां आती
Hmm.
थी, especially वो लाल वाली जो काटती है ना,
Hmm.
if I ever complain बहुत सारी चींटियां आ गई, अरुण would shout at me, नहीं तो क्या हंसी आएगी क्या?
वो तेरी टेरिटरी में नहीं, तू उनकी टेरिटरी में आ गई.
हाँ वही ना.
So true. But to live it is another thing.
Yeah, to live it is very difficult. Oh boy, I could never live with the host of red ants gunning at me.
Correct.
Definitely not. I'm
Correct.
paranoid when it comes to red ants.
Mm-hmm.
तो एक्सपीरियंस उस किस्म का हुआ है तो फिर तो सोच. बट दे आर सो परसिस्टेंट, इफ दे डिसाइड कि कहीं पर हमको कुछ मिलता है तो कितनी हर्डल्स क्रॉस करके वो जाएंगे.
हाँ.
उसका उसका मैंने बकायदा अनुभव लिया है उस घर में.
अच्छा.
हाँ, मेरे आंगन से ओटे पे आके, ओटे से यूटिलिटी में आके, फिर यूटिलिटी से दे डिडंट क्रॉस द फ्लोर. ओके, एक्चुअली क्या हुआ, मेरे बेड पे मेरे को मिले
Hmm.
ants, red ants.
Hmm.
रात भर I was feeling as though I'm being bitten, and when I woke up in the morning, I found a lot of red ants.
Hmm.
I said, I looked in the windows of my bedroom. I had applied that chalk and kept, so कहीं पे नहीं था. So I
Hmm.
started searching. तो देखा तो they had entered through the utility. किचन का एंट्रेंस का डोर के फ्रेम से ऊपर से ऐसे जाके नीचे ऐसे आके,
Hmm.
फिर से दूसरे फ्रेम से नीचे से जाके वापस ऊपर स्टोर रूम के डोर के ऊपर से आके नीचे आके,
Oh.
फिर स्कर्टिंग से हॉल में से पैसेज में से बेडरूम में से अरुण के बेड के पास से जाके स्कर्टिंग से मेरे बेड पर.
You traced all that.
I had to trace because I wanted to know where the hell they are coming from so I can take action.
Hats off. Hats off to you.
Then after that, every summer it was a job for me कि जितने स्कर्टिंग है, जितने डोर फ्रेम्स एंड डोर
हाँ,
विंडोज के
उसके ऊपर
फ्रेम्स
वो
है, सबको
चौक लगा दो.
चौक लगा के बैठो.
Hmm.
And Arun used to think I'm mad. I said, you're not being bitten, so you're saying that. If you were being
Correct.
but then that is their persistence. Only thing is, at
Hmm.
such time you can't see divinity in them. Because there you start seeing the divinity within you. यहाँ पे जो बोलते हैं ना कि you don't kill bacteria, you don't kill germs and this and that because it is himsa. Then by that yardstick, we should not take medicine when we are infected. But we still take medicine. And why it is taken? Because you are made up of many more cells than that little creature.
Yes.
And not allow doing something to cure a cell would be a bigger himsa.
Yeah, would be a bigger crime.
Yeah, simple as that. तो जो करना पड़ता है कभी कभी करना पड़ता है.
No, with proper understanding.
Yeah. Self defense is no offense. Anyway, let's continue.
Yes.
There's a beautiful description of the color of the self in an Upanishad. What could be its color? The sage says lovingly, Yatha ayam Indragopaha. The self is like an Indragop. Indragop is at the bottom, there's footnote. Indragop is an extremely beautiful insect with bright red velvet like skin. It appears at the beginning of the rainy season. The sight of an Indragop fills us with immense joy. Why? Because that which exists in me exists in the Indragop too. Had there been no relation with it, I would not have felt such joy. The Indragop too has the same beautiful soul that I have. That is why the simile of Indragop is given. Why do we use similes? Why do we find joy in them? A simile pleases us as there is some similarity between the objects compared. Otherwise, it would not be pleasing. If somebody says that salt is like pepper, we would call him crazy. But if somebody says that the stars are like flowers, we see the likeness and appreciate the simile. We find nothing common between salt and pepper. But if someone's vision has become broad enough to see that the Lord who is present in salt is present in the pepper too, he'd be delighted with the statement, salt is like pepper. I was, for the simple reason that both add flavor. So they both have the same Lord in them. What all this means is that everything in the world is filled with the Lord's presence. To realize this, one need not have the vision of the cosmic form. 57 point. Vision of the cosmic form is difficult to bear. Para 10. Besides, how can I bear the vision of that cosmic form? That form may not perhaps give rise to the same feelings of love and tender intimacy that I have for a small, beautiful, and Saguna form. It happened with Arjuna too. He started trembling and beseeched the Lord to assume the familiar and lovable form again. Arjuna is thus cautioning us from his own experience that we should not have the desire to see the cosmic form. It is good for us that the Lord has pervaded the entire three-dimensional space and three-dimensional time. If he were to condense himself and appear before us as a glowing and fiercely hot ball of fire, what would our plight be? The distant stars appear tranquil. They seem to speak to us. But what would happen if a star that shoots the eye from afar were to approach us closely? It is a ball of fire which is sure to burn us down. Let all things in the cosmos remain where they are. What is the sense in bringing all of them in a single room? One feels strange in watching thousands of pigeons packed in a small aviary. What freedom do they have? It is good that the creation is spread all over the space.
So beautifully said.
Kind,
very, very kind gesture. Aviary ka dekhe. Good that it is spread all over the space.
Point 11. What is true of space is true of time too. We do not remember the past, have no idea of the future, and that is good for us. The Holy Quran has mentioned 5 things which are exclusively under the control of God, and man can do nothing about them. Knowledge of the future is one of the things. We can at best make a guess, but a guess is not knowledge. It is indeed a happy situation that we do not have knowledge of the future and forget most of the past. Even if a bad man becomes good, we remember his past and do not respect him. We cannot forget his past sins, howsoever hard he may try to convince us about his transformation. It is only when the person dies and is reborn in a different form that the world will forget his sins. Remembrance of the past distorts the mind. All our problems will be solved when all the memories and perceptions of the past are forgotten. There must be some way of getting of forgetting both the sinful and meritorious deeds. Death is such a way. When we cannot endure the suffering in this birth, why rake up the muck of the past births? Is the muck in this birth not enough? We even forget most of our childhood years. It is good that we forget our past. For instance, the only means to achieve Hindu Muslim unity is to forget the past. Yes, Aurangzeb did commit atrocities. But how long are we going to harp on them? There is a famous Garba song by Ratan Bai in Gujarati. It says at the end, in this world, the good that the people achieve will be remembered. Their sins will be forgotten. Time is sifting everybody's deeds. We should take only what is good from history and cast off what is evil. It would indeed be wonderful if one remembers the good only, but alas, it does not happen. Hence, forgetting is extremely necessary. God has created death for this purpose. But unfortunately, history always tells us that we have to remember history to not make similar mistakes in the future.
Yeah,
And still we
learning
make
from the
them.
history cannot be forgotten. Learning
Yeah,
from
and
the
still we,
history.
no, the thing is we remember the incidents, we forget the learning. That is the problem, no?
The learnings have to be implemented because it had come for that purpose.
In short, the world as it is auspicious. There's no need to pack this vast world of time and space into a little spot. Excessive familiarity is not good. We should be intimate with some things and maintain a distance from some things. We respectfully keep a distance from the teacher, but would love to sit in the mother's lap. There's an appropriate way to behave with anybody and deal with anything. A flower may be taken in the hand, but fire should be kept away. The beauty of the stars can be admired from a distance only. It is true for all creation. It is not that something that gives delight from afar will give more delight when brought near. Let the things remain where they are. It is in our interest to let them be at a proper distance, appreciate them from a distance, and derive joy from them, rather than trying to bring them near in a clumsy and overbearing manner for the sake of excessive familiarity.
Wow, this is
13.
good learning.
Thus, it is good that we do not live in time in all its aspects, past, present, and future. Knowledge of all of it is not necessarily pleasing or beneficial. Arjuna beseeched the Lord with love, and he fulfilled his desire by revealing to him his cosmic form. But for us, his small form is sufficient. It is not, after all, a part of the Lord. The whole of the Lord is present therein. Even if it's only a part, I would consider myself blessed if I could have a glimpse of even that part. This is what experience has taught me. When Jamnalalji Bajaj opened the Lakshminarayan temple at Wardha to the untouchables, I was there. My gaze was fixed on the image for some 15 or 20 minutes. I was as it were in a state of samadhi. Beholding the Lord's image from top to toe, my eyes finally rested at his feet. There was no thought in my mind except Gaur Tujhi Charan Seva. Sweet indeed is your humble service. If the great Lord cannot be contained in a small form, it is enough to behold his feet. Arjuna pleaded for the vision of the cosmic form. He was worthy of asking for it. How intimate was his relationship with the Lord? What claims can I have? If I could see his feet, it's enough for me. I deserve nothing more.
Wow.
158.
And
The quest.
मैंने देखा ये मंदिर में दर्शन करने जाने की जो सिस्टम है. The whole idea is that you go do darshan and you sit for some time.
Yeah.
As you come out of the temple, beholding that darshan in mind and being with it. And that sort of completes the process to give you energy enough for the day of peace and tranquility. Lekin, I myself realized कि अंदर जाके दर्शन करते हैं, लेकिन you can't recall the whole image as you saw it unless and until you make that actual effort. कि दर्शन करते वक्त भी you have to be fully present. उस समय भी यदि कोई आ गया, बात कर रहे हैं, इधर उधर हिलना पड़ रहा है, तो दर्शन भी ठीक से होते नहीं है. और when you sit back to hold the image in the mind, श्रृंगार भी पूरा नहीं ध्यान में आता है. वो असल में रोज रोज भगवान के श्रृंगार भी इसीलिए अलग अलग करते हैं, that you have something to hold in your vision.
But I'll tell you something. I don't know. This is something I learned from Arun. When he used to do the jap of Devi, ना, तो वो 108 का माला करते हैं, तो माला हम लोग को दोनों को ऐसे करने का तकलीफ होती थी. तो we used to do it on the fingers. 9-12 का होता है ना, तो यहाँ तक हम लोग करते थे. तो each time, each 12 का this thing, he would focus on one of the Devis he has visited and seen.
Okay.
उस देवी की मूर्ति.
Okay.
And then he told me, Anjali, तू पण तसंच कर बघ, it makes a difference. And I found it does make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So especially when I do Om Namah Shivaya, I see the different lingas I have visited.
Wow.
And it's very
Beautiful.
different. Your mind is then focused.
Yes, because you have
and you remember it.
2 activities to hold on to. Or 12 number is not too large a number, and 9 is also not too large.
नहीं, एक तो वो है. दूसरी बात ये है कि what I was trying to say is, at such a time you are able to remember the
Correct.
image of that God.
So that's what I'm trying to
and
understand.
It's not that that some temples we have not visited that often कि उतना वो बिंबित हो जाए हमारे मन में. But फिर भी you remember. Like I remember one thing, that when I started doing देवी का, हम लोग का जो कार्ला में एक मठ है, वहां की देवी बहुत सुंदर है, और मैं शायद 1 या 2 बार ही गई थी उधर. हाँ, फिर भी when I closed my eyes, उस दिन जब मैं देखा, वो जो कलर की साड़ी थी, वो था, ज्वेलरी थी, वो सब मेरे को.
Wow.
हाँ,
ब्यूटीफुल.
तो शांति से अगर हम वो वहां खड़े रह के देख के प्रार्थना करें ना, हो जाता है. आजकल मैंने ये देखा है,
that has to be done.
हाँ, नहीं, और आजकल मैं देखती हूँ लोग क्या करते हैं. I am not saying it is wrong. We carry our mobiles wherever we go. But the moment it rings, we attend to it. When I go to a temple, I make it a point that my ringtone is shut. It's muted. So that even if a call comes, I don't attend to it. पर्स में होता है तो मेरे को वो भी करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, मेरे को सुना ही नहीं देता है. Because no call is that urgent that you can't after some time call back.
Of course.
So वो अगर attitude से हम जाते हैं ना, तो वो जो भी दर्शन हमको मिलना है, वो आराम से मिल जाता है.
Right.
I do feel that. मेरे को अभी भी I can recollect many of these goddesses which I have visited.
Wow.
Lingas तो definitely.
I haven't.
उसका shape, size, सब कुछ. इस material का वो भी.
Wow.
उतना याद रहता है.
Great.
Just, and I'll tell one more thing is, probably all the places where I visited, there has not been that much gardi, like, you go to Tirupati or you go to Shirdi, जितना भीड़ होता है वो नहीं होता है. I have gone to Krishneshwar and Trimbakeshwar, वहाँ दोनों जगह भीड़ होती है, लेकिन they don't allow a few people at a time, especially in Trimbakeshwar. So you get to stand there, and then peeche there's a place where you can sit, and the mirror is there in which you can see the whole image.
Okay.
So you can see in the mirror. तो उधर बैठ के वो मिरर में देखते रहने का,
Mm-hmm.
तो आराम से हो जाता है भीड़ होने पर भी.
Wow.
और मेरे बिल्डिंग के टेम्पल में मेरे को अभी भी सभी जितनी मूर्तियां हैं मेरे को ध्यान ध्यान में है,
Wow.
बिकॉज वहां ज्यादा भीड़ नहीं रहती.
Mm-hmm.
आराम से प्रार्थना करके देख के सब हो जाता है.
Great.
तो आई थिंक समवेयर दैट फोकसिंग एंड इफ देयर इज अ लिटिल
Of
पीस,
course.
वो हो ही
Concentration,
जाता है.
relaxation and concentration precedes memory.
करेक्ट, डेफिनेटली. एक ही पेज है, वो कंप्लीट कर लें.
हाँ, कर लेते हैं फिर.
द क्विंटेसेंस ऑफ द गीता. आई एम नॉट एट ऑल inclined to use my reason or intellect in analyzing the description of that divine cosmic form. That would be a sacrilege. We should, sacrilege ka meaning is uh, almost like a pap.
हाँ, almost like a pap.
We should instead recite those holy verses again and again and purify ourselves. To analyze the cosmic form would be a monstrosity. It would be like following in the footsteps of the Aghorpanthis who go to the cremation grounds and mutilate the corpses to gain occult powers. We should instead recite those holy verses that describe the Lord's grand and infinite form, which has also been described as Vishwataschakshurut, Vishwatomukhah, Vishwatobahurun, नहीं बाहुरुत, Vishwataspat, Tasyat. The one whose eyes are everywhere, whose mouths are everywhere, whose hands are everywhere, whose legs are everywhere, and make our mind sinless and pure. Point 15. In this description, there is only one point at which the mind begins to think. The Lord has said to Arjuna, all these warriors are going to die. Be only an occasion, an instrument. I have already slain them. These words keep ringing in the ears. When the idea that I should become his instrument arises in the mind, one begins to think, how to do it? How should I become the Lord's flute? To become his flute, I shall have to become hollow. Then only he can produce sweet tunes through me. I shall have to be free from all passions, vices, and evil propensities. If I am fully stuffed with them, how can he play melodious tunes through me? I am stuffed with ego. I must purge myself of that and become hollow. But in fact, it is preposterous of me to aspire to become his flute. Even if I wish to become the sandals on his feet, it's not easy. The sandals shouldn't not pinch or otherwise cause any pain to his feet. So I would have to become soft to such an extent, I would have to protect his feet from the thorns. I would have to cure myself to be firm and strong, yet supple and soft. It is not thus easy to become his sandals. If I want to become his weapon, I must not just be a lump of iron. I must sharpen myself through penance so that I could become a sword in his hands. This thought reverberates in my mind and I lose myself in it.
Wow. कितना सुंदर बोला है. Be
16.
his flute, be his sandal and be his sword. कुछ भी बनो, मेहनत करनी है अपने आप के ऊपर. Clean up, clean up, clean up.
Point 16. The Lord has himself told us in the last verse of this chapter how to do it, how this can come about. Shankaracharya has, in his commentary on the Gita, called this verse the quintessence of the Gita. Mat karma krun mat paramo mat bhaktah sangavarjitah nirver सर्वभूतेषु यः सह ne sa mameti pandava. He who is free from enmity to all creatures, who is ever engrossed in serving the world impartially, without any expectations, who dedicates all his actions to the Lord, who is full of devotion, who forgives all, and is detached, and full of love, becomes an instrument of the Lord. This is the essence of the Gita's teaching. I just want to say one thing over here. The last paragraph seems to describe Ratan Tata.
Last paragraph.
Seems to describe Ratan Tata.
हाँ, आज के दिन तो
कितना
he who is
perfect
free from
description है उस आदमी
enmity
का.
to all creatures, who is ever engrossed in serving the world impartially, without any expectation, who dedicated all his actions to the Lord, who is full of devotion, who forgives all and is detached and full of love, becomes an instrument to the Lord. This is the essence of the Gita's teaching. Wow. True, very true. Nice to have completed the whole chapter and got it at one.
It was a short chapter, ना?
Good, good.
मैं वही सोचती हूँ कभी कभी जिनको भी एक दर्शन होता है भगवान का, चाहे वो संत तुकाराम हो, जो जिसको बिलीफ है और फिर वो दर्शन मिलता है, तो उसको कॉस्मिक फॉर्म देखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, उसी में वो लीन हो जाता है. It's just he'll get just immersed in that.
बिल्कुल.
That Jagtap from Nasik, na, he's been for the last few days sending me lovely quotes of Tukaram Maharaj. ये टाइप के ही हैं वो सब, बहुत ब्यूटीफुल कोट्स भेजता है रोज. So inspiring. Of course, sometimes I don't understand that Marathi.
Okay.
I try to make it, but then where I find it difficult, I just resend it to Meena Lathali and ask the meaning. But beautiful. I feel so blessed, Suchi. Every day I get such lovely messages, you know.
So nice. So nice.
So, and it's not just from our yoga group or anything. जिसको भी I seem to be in touch, na, they send such messages.
Wow.
तो बिना ऐसे, like, okay, we are all friends, we are all were in the same group, we were under the same teacher, so we have formed a group. Okay, or even the yoga study group or whatever. But there are these other people whom I have come across who all seem to be walking on a similar path.
Correct.
Even though I met them because of other reasons. So it feels so good, you know, even though the initial path may be difficult and you may be feeling alone and all, you don't know when like-minded people start joining you and making the journey a much better one.
बिल्कुल. मैं तो अकेला ही चला था, लोग जुड़ते गए, कारवां बनता गया.
Correct. It's such a, I don't know, I had told you this dream of mine many years ago, like, you know, I think within maybe 2003, 4, maybe. Not even 4, 2003. Arun used to constantly get dreams of some Bhagwan or the other.
Okay.
And he used to keep telling me. And I used to say, मैं इतना देव देव करती हूँ, तो सब dreams तुमको आते हैं. And he used to do only om, 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 om. ओम में सारे भगवान आ जाते हैं, ठीक है. तो लेकिन जिस दिन मैंने उनको ये बोल के दिखाया ना, उस दिन दोपहर को मेरे को बहुत गहरी नींद आई. And I had such a long dream. of a temple where we were getting late to enter because it was closing time. So somebody told us to go from the back entrance. And
Hmm.
there were 7 entrances, and people were coming out. And we went in, and the temple, it was almost deserted. Only the pujari was inside the temple. वो वहां पे देवी का मूर्ति था, और उसके बाहर द देवी की मूर्ति के गर्भगृह के बाहर शिवलिंग था.
Hmm.
एंड अरुण स्ट्रेट अवे वेंट इनसाइड इनटू द गर्भगृह. मैं उधर खड़ी रही वो शिवलिंग को प्रार्थना करने. एंड सडनली फ्रॉम द शिवलिंग, वो बॉटल में से जीनी निकलता है, दिखाते हैं ना अरेबियन टेल्स में, वैसे ही उसमें से लाइक अ विस्प ऑफ स्मोक ऐसे ऐसे एक आया. इट टुक अ फॉर्म.
Okay.
And from that, a huge person came out with a bald head. And he's looking at me and just doing, come follow me.
Okay.
And when he did that, I was alone there. Arun was alone inside. There
Hmm.
were no people in that temple. And so I told him, wait, I want to call my husband. Let him also join me. And I told Arun, come quickly, come. We have to go behind this
Oh,
person, this Maharaj. And Arun started coming. And then when I turned around the second time, Arun है कि नहीं मेरे पीछे देखने के लिए, अरुण भी था. और मेरे पीछे लिटरली भीड़ थी.
okay.
कहाँ से वो भीड़ आई मेरे को पता नहीं, क्योंकि मंदिर पूरा खाली था.
Okay.
तो वो लाइक मैं बोलती ना कि स्टार्टिंग यू फील यू अलोन, बट कारवां बनता जाता है. कब
Hmm.
बताओ कब वो बनता है पता नहीं चलता.
Yes.
एंड देन व्हेन आई एक्सप्लेन दिस ड्रीम टू अरुण इन द इवनिंग, ही लिसन टू माई डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ दैट पर्सन, कि उनकी आंखें कैसी थी, ये वो सब. मेरे को बोला कि चल मेरे साथ.
Hmm.
दिस वॉज शॉर्टली, आई थिंक 2003 बिगनिंग ओनली, जस्ट शॉर्टली आफ्टर आवर मैरिज. He took me to the Swami Samar temple,
Hmm.
and he showed me the photograph. Is this the person you saw?
Oh.
I said, yes, it was the same person whom I saw.
Oh. Oh. Mhm.
And that was the second time I was visiting the temple. First time हम लोग घाई घाई में जाके आए थे, मेरे को याद भी नहीं था.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I couldn't recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
But when I described him, Arun could immediately recognize मैंने
Wow.
किसको देखा है.
This is too good.
So वो वाली बात होती है कि like you and somewhere that thing is there. You follow any of these saints, you follow Sai Baba, you follow Swami Samarth, you follow any of them, you can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong.
Just can't.
चलो.
तेरे को एक भजन भेजती हूँ जो मेरे को आज आया है.
अच्छा.
हम्म.
अरे वाह, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज माय फेवरेट टॉपिक, सगुण एंड निर्गुण भक्ति.
आई नो.
चलो.
अच्छा, भेज दिया.
ओके, थैंक यू. सुनूंगी रात को.
बाय.
बाय.